A happy Thanksgiving morning to you, Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, 802 Honda, all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. Well, this is what we're looking at this morning. This is generally rain with a little bit of freezing rain that's going to be getting into the region. This is just high clouds. We're not seeing any real precipitation. Really, it's not going to affect us today. This is really back off to the west. This will all move in basically tonight as we have a fairly strong ridge of higher pressure in control. And this is just going to melt away a lot of this first part of this storm system. So we're not really anticipating anything that's major today. But by tonight, things are going to turn the corner as we will see a little bit of spotty freezing rain that'll set up along and east of the Green Mountains, where temperature and ground temperatures will determine where that freezing rain will start to ice things up. So heads up, a little bit of a travel issue. Doesn't look like it's going to be very much. And a lot of this first part of this precipitation here is going to be very sporadic and actually weakening and winding down and drying up a lot of it before it ever even gets here. Let's take a look at the computer models and we'll see what we're talking about here. Okay, you're looking at the larger overview. On the left-hand side is the most recent computer model. That's 06Z. This is the 00Z that occurred from the snapshot from yesterday last evening. This is the older one. We'll see how they compare, and they're relatively comparable. And this is the mighty European model, which is very, very typically steady as she goes. Right now, this is valid about 1 o'clock this afternoon on Thanksgiving Day, Thursday. We have a ridge of higher pressure that's still in control for our neck of the woods. A lot of high and mid-level clouds overspreading the region now. And we'll see this basically approach with some rain shower activity. This is just the overview. And it comes in very sporadically, as I mentioned. It falls apart in northern parts of Vermont. You could see that roughly about 6 hours ago. The other model earlier from last night has a little bit of freezing rain. So it's kind of sketchy, but this is how it's setting up. This weak area of low pressure will make a run and then kind of develop and spread in basically a transition from rain showers to snow showers. And then that will continue to evolve and develop, and this will spin up and hook around in the upper levels as some pretty strong jet stream energy gets in, and this will start to produce a pretty blustery west to northwest wind and a little bit of an upslope component. All of this effects will probably produce somewhere around 5 to 10 inches of snowfall in the local mountains, and on valley floors anywhere from a dusting to a couple of inches, but probably somewhere around the 2 to 4 inch range, maybe 2 to 5 inches in some locations of our, especially the northern tier regions and our lower valleys. But this storm system will wind down and move on out into the Canadian Maritimes. That'll take place, it looks like, easily by Saturday night. Let's look at the higher details. So this is our storm that's incoming. This is valid at about 10 o'clock this evening on Thursday evening. This will continue to work on in. Notice the two different models here. This is suggesting a little bit of freezing rain. And this is kind of limiting the amount of precipitation. Again, this is coming in very scanty, very minimal. So much freezing rain, not a whole lot of widespread stuff at this point. However, by the time we get into about 7 o'clock on Friday morning, we may have laid down a couple icy spots here. East of the Greens is the main area. And then you can see as a little bit more precipitation returns, we're starting to transition with colder air aloft, starting to work in, as jet stream energy is starting to wrap up an area of low pressure, and we're starting to see a little bit of a transition toward colder temperatures, changing everything from raindrops to wet snowflakes. This is valid by 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. And then you can see that we're looking at almost moderate type snow. Now, the last model run had it coming in a little bit hotter. It's backed off since then. I think this is probably more reasonable. But you see that it does pick up along the spine of the Green Mountains, some parts of the Northeast Kingdom where you're looking at moderate snowfall falling at times. This is valid late in the day or basically early evening around 7 p.m. on Friday evening. We're getting into Friday night, and that's 1 o'clock. And then by around 4 o'clock in the morning, we're starting to see the moderate snowfall starting to push on out into the north. And this is 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and then things just basically shake out, and that's the way it's setting up. What about total snowfall? Let's run the transition. So this moves in. No worries today. Again, Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, have no problems up through probably 8 or 9 o'clock this evening. After that point, it starts to get a little bit sketchy with the possibility of raindrops and freezing rain and the colder ground surfaces and whatnot. So we're starting to pick a little bit wet snow by the time we get into about 10 o'clock in the morning, mostly in the central and southern Greens. You'll note places, the higher mountains, the presidential range, and so forth. Now, all of that begins to fill in pretty quickly by the time we hit 17Z. That's about noon, and this is about by 19Z, we're talking 3 o'clock. And then we're looking at, that would be 2 o'clock, and then this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're looking at a dusting to about 2 inches in the mountains, a dusting to about 1 inch in valley floors. And it starts to pick up, and you can see the amounts here as we go into Friday night, and especially during the day on Saturday. This is valid about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. And these are probably close to the amounts we're going to see, 10 to 1 water ratios here, snow to water. So northern tier regions will see the most, probably Orleans County, and especially along the western slopes and the spine of the Green Mountains, just on the eastern side of the Champlain Valley, places like Montgomery Center, back over toward maybe Johnson, but certainly Underhill, Jericho, back down into Ripton, and so forth and so on. They're going to pick up some good snowfall here, especially in the mountain summits of the Greens. Now, this transitions into the day on Saturday, and then by Saturday night into Sunday, that's what we're going to be left with. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.